Kusheo, I greet you as you work on this fine morning, afternoon, or evening. Whatever time of day it is where you are, I pray that your mind and your spirit and your heart are open to sending and receiving the word of wisdom, compassion, growth, and transformation. Ashe. Do you remember your first divination? Maybe the first Ifa reading you had, or the first Erindin Logun reading you had with the cowrie shells. I remember my first reading vividly, like it was yesterday. I was in LA at Ijo Orumila with the great pioneer Babalawo Fashina Falade. And I even remember the first Odu that was cast for me. It was Ogbe Ka. And Baba said to me, change creates struggle. Struggle builds character. All of us are here struggling. And then he went on to tell me a range of super poignant messages that spoke directly to my condition in that time. And I was super impressed by the precision, the accuracy of Ifa, and the way it was so relevant to my condition at the moment. And since that time, I have apprenticed for a number of years, and gave me an opportunity to sit with lots of people and help them through their divination and making their sacrifices and helping them to interpret the meaning of their readings. And I've since that time also had numerous clients of my own, and in both cases I've been really struck by the fact that a lot of people don't have the same kind of an experience that I had in their first reading or their second reading or their third reading, in the sense that they can get the message, right? They sit for the reading, but somehow it doesn't really speak to their condition. They don't come away from the experience with a real concrete understanding of what Ifa is telling them and what they really need to do. And so what I want to do today is I want to share with you some of the ways in which I approach Ifa with my clients, with the hope that it will help you get the most out of this magnificent divination system. Now, before I go into that, let me tell you that this is the Orisha Lifestyle Academy, and I'm your instructor, Obafemi Origunwa. And today I want to give you a breakdown, a real simple breakdown and approach to Ifa that will help you to, as I said before, approach it in a certain way that will give you the tools and the understanding that you need to optimize the Ifa system. In order to really understand Ifa and get the most out of it, here's one of the key elements that you've got to understand. Ifa is based on what we call the principle of rebirth. All right, rebirth, reincarnation. For us who practice Yoruba spirituality, rebirth is governed by lineage, is governed by your bloodline. So, in other systems of reincarnation, let's say the Hindu system, which most people are most familiar with, and people usually, when they say reincarnation, they're talking about the Hindu principle of rebirth, which says that if you live a certain life, karma will dictate that you are reborn accordingly. So if you have a bad life, so to speak, you're going to be born as a cockroach, or you're going to be reborn as some kind of an animal. If you live a good life, you'll be reborn as something more benevolent and gentle. I'm not sure exactly what that looks like. Maybe you're rich, maybe you got supreme health, maybe you're very powerful and influential. But if you, as you live, so you will be reborn. Within our tradition, it isn't that way. For us, you're going to be reborn into your family lineage. So if you live a terrible and miserable life, then you're going to ruin your family, and you're going to be reborn into misery. If you squander all the blessings in your lifetime, then when you're reborn, that's what you're going to inherit. Likewise, if you optimize your family resources, you do the best that you can, and make things better, then that's what you're going to be reborn into. Your family will be more prosperous, it will be healthier and more progressive when you make your return. So rebirth within Yoruba spirituality is based on the idea that you are going to inherit what you left behind. The ancestors are going to give you an assignment in the world that matches how you lived and what you left behind. Okay? So there is a sense of completing an errand that your ancestors have given to you. So your destiny is born out of a long line of people who've been working on one mission for generation after generation after generation after generation. Okay? So that matters because when you go to consult Ifa, you need to have in mind everything that your family has been doing before you, what your parents, your grandparents, your great grandparents have been doing, because you are the continuation of that process. And you're understanding the message of Ifa according to what you're also going to leave behind for your children, your grandchildren, and your great grandchildren. Okay, so that's the context of your divination. It's going to be based on where you come from and where you are going. The second thing you need to understand about Ifa divination is that it is always based on the principle of reciprocity. You are going to get a message, whether it's positive or negative, and that message is going to require that you reciprocate. So the basic idea is that the Odu is a living entity. It is a divinity in and of itself, and it has come to give you a message. When you summon the Odu, or when the priest or priestess summons the Odu, it has taken a journey and come to tell you something special in particular for you. Then it becomes your responsibility to reciprocate. You've got to nourish that Odu. You got to feed that messenger. You've got to empower that messenger and send it back to where it came to balance things in the unseen realm. So if you get a message that's positive, you need to send that message back. You need to feed that. You need to fortify it. You need to activate everything that is surrounding or involved with that messenger or that message. Likewise, if it comes negative, there's adversity, there's some kind of obstacle, you need to feed that Odu to go back to neutralize that opposition and that negativity so that you can move forward in comfort. Okay? And the third principle that's very important for you to understand is, and it ties into all the previous two principles, which is the principle that everything we do, everything that we see, everything that is a reflection or a manifestation of the unseen realm. Everything starts in the unseen realm. And what you're dealing with in the third dimension is sort of an afterthought. And you can understand that with your own imagination, your own inner vision. All the words that you say first happen in your mind. All the things that you create, they first happen in your mind. You have something that is within you that's organizing and cultivating and then emanating a message or an action. And then what we see as we relate to you is really just it's an afterthought. It's your best attempt at rendering or depicting what you have in your mind, what you feel in your heart. But we would have to actually be inside your mind and in your heart to fully understand what it is or to feel it with you. So it is with everything that we see. So Ifa is trying to show you what's behind the curtain, right? That's the third idea, the third principle. Ifa is revealing to you what is behind, what you cannot see, and give you some understanding of this is what's behind the scenes. This is what's moving all the pieces. This is the source of your opportunity or your obstacles. Okay? So, based on those three principles, you can see what Ifa is. It's rebirth, it's reciprocity, it's a revelation of the unseen. Ifa is not fortune telling in the sense that tomorrow at 4 o'clock, you're going to see a woman with a red hat, right? She's going to ask you for a pair of scissors. That's not Ifa. That's not Ifa. Ifa is not, it's not magic, right? You are going to take a test. You haven't studied. You know nothing. Okay. You go for a Ifa Divination. You make your sacrifice. And now you sit down at the exam and voila, you know everything. That's not Ifa. Okay. That's not Ifa. And it's important that you understand those things so you can manage your expectations and plan accordingly. Thirdly, Ifa is not planning either. Ifa is not planning in the sense that Ifa may tell you this is what's ahead, right? Ifa is forecasting prosperity for you this year. Ifa is forecasting love and marriage for you in this year. Well, Ifa is not going to plan your work. Ifa is not going to tell you what time to wake up and how many hours you're going to need to put in to complete the task, who you're going to need to call, what errands you're going to have to run, how much money you're going to need to save and spend. And Ifa is not going to tell you all that. Okay. You're going to have to figure that part out. You're going to have to work with other people to make those things happen. Ifa is going to tell you, as I mentioned before, where you are in relationship to your ancestral promise, in terms of completing your assignment that was given to you. Ifa is going to tell you what's behind door number 3, what's behind the curtain. Ifa is going to tell you what you need to do to reciprocate and balance the spiritual world and the material world. Okay. And so if you can apply this understanding of what Ifa is and what Ifa is not, then you're going to be much more successful and effective at knowing the limitations of what you can do, what you can accomplish, and where you're going to need help and support from the divinities. And once you understand that, you're going to be much more well positioned to get the blessing that Ifa has promises to you, as well as avoid the problems that Ifa has identified. So with that in mind, I hope and pray that you will go into your subsequent divination experiences with a clear mind and a appropriate set of expectations so that you can get the most out of the experience and do a better job at living the medicine that will heal your life and heal the lives of those who you are destined to serve. Odabo. Bye for now.